Brethren, the presentation that I've taken from Solomon today is entitled Seven Cardinal Virtues. In summary, it's a short talk which seeks to explain the historical meanings of the seven cardinal virtues. Our ceremonies, in their present form, are now approaching an age at which many books have been written giving an explanation in order that they are to be thoroughly understood. The words of our ritual really date back to William Preston, who lived from 1742 to 1818, who wrote his Illustrations of Masonry in 1772. In parallel with this, the American Thomas Smith Webb, who lived from 1717 to 1819, born of English parents, wrote the Ancient Charges and was responsible for many of the craft lectures, including the four cardinal virtues. There are perhaps not many words or phrases in the ceremonies work today to which most of the brethren can attach some meaning. However, it cannot be expected that the words that are used should convey just the same impression in the first quarter of the 21st century as they did to brethren almost 300 years ago, for whom they were settled in their present form. This is the fascinating thing about the study of our craft ritual, with particular regard to what the words and phrases actually mean. The word cardinal comes from the Latin cardinalis, meaning essential, most important, upon which other matters depend. Craft masonry names but four cardinal virtues. These date back, as one might expect, into antiquity. They are temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice. However, in the first degree tracing board, we find reference to Jacob's ladder. The first three rungs of the ladder dominate the virtues: faith, hope, and charity. The ancient church added these as theological virtues. These seven constituting what was considered to be the most admirable in the human character. Freemasonry also has its principal tenets, which might well be called cardinal, as they are amongst the most important. In most jurisdictions, these are brotherly love or friendship, relief or charity, and truth, integrity. Tenet is a curious word. The Latin has tendere, meaning keep holding. This used to be, in the context of our ancient craft, is a belief strongly held as a matter of faith. In the volume of the Sacred Law, temperance, prudence, and justice are all mentioned. Fortitude does not appear, but courage does many times. Wisdom is a much used word in the Bible. It was one of the original cardinal virtues of the Greeks. Interestingly, they used wisdom instead of prudence, and courage instead of fortitude. These virtues first appeared at the time of Plato, in the 4th century BCE, as part of the philosophy and ethics of the time. Plato considered these virtues to be inherent. Aristotle believed that they were acquired by habit. Certainly Freemasonry, with its brotherly love, relief, and truth, and its expression of friendship and selflessness interest as set forth in the 5 points of fellowship, stresses benevolence, but not under that name. Philosophers maintain that temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice are functions of the mind. A man restrains his desires when he practices temperance. He undergoes danger and trials for a cause by means of fortitude. He is prudent when it allows wisdom to rule his actions. Justice is wholly a man-made conception. Moralists, who form systems for the practice of ethics, believe that the heart and soul, emotions and feelings have an important part to play in the development of the perfect character. So we have the well-known triplet from St. Paul in the Authorized Version of the Bible: faith, hope, and love. In the King James Version, charity is substituted for love. Here we have the problem of the modern interpretation of the early vocabulary. In our lodges, we emphasize wisdom, strength, and beauty. If we take the words literally, then strength and beauty are not virtues. Strength is either power or resistance. There is no virtue in either. Masonry makes of beauty that which beautifies and adorns a structure. It is therefore difficult to interpret it as a virtue in a human character. This is, again, another difficulty with modern interpretation. To many, if not all initiates, the lecture of the Entered Apprentice degree, which teaches the Four Cardinal Virtues, written by Thomas Smith Webb, means just what it says. Temperance is abstinence from strong drink. Fortitude is not telling what you know, even if threatened with bodily harm. Prudence here seems directed to keeping Masonic secrets to Masons. Justice, referred to as cement and support of civil society, then an inherent quality in a good mind. William Preston was really a father to the work of Thomas Smith Webb, but both can be considered as the foundation to craft ritual as we know it today. Both these brilliant minds were concerned with making Freemasonry simple to understand to men who had experienced little or no education. Certainly no Mason today would wish to radically depart from the Prestonian work. Nevertheless, all will recognize that the world has come a long way since 1742. Every member of the fraternity can read and write to begin with. It is therefore understandable that the modern concept of the Four Cardinal Virtues reaches greater heights than either Preston or Webb could have imagined. Temperance, from the Latin tempore, meaning to moderate or regulate all human actions. Fortitude means considerably more than withstanding an attack, rather than disclose the secrets of the craft. It means moral courage, the strength to stand by an unpopular decision because it is right. Wisdom, regarded by many as a substitute for prudence. In Freemasonry, this virtue is about wisdom of the heart, wisdom of the mind, wisdom, if a brother so wishes, of the soul. It is an approach of a man to his Creator. It looks forward to better days and a looking up to higher things. Consider prudence as meaning wisdom of both heart and mind, and it becomes something high and holy, and much more impressive than mere precaution, judged in modern times as the colloquial meaning of the word prudence. As for justice, the Masonic lecture sets forth one of its important aspects, which is keeping together of society and making all men equal before the law. The symbol of justice can be seen towering above the high courts in London, represented by a blindfolded woman holding scales in one hand and a sword in the other. To an initiate, he may consider the virtue justice as he reflects upon and doubtless admires the administration of legislation as it is administered in the courts of law, in accordance with the pronouncements laid down by the Supreme Legislature. In the final analysis, the justice of civilized society rests upon force. The justice taught in Freemasonry includes this, indeed the ritual so specifies. But this virtue, in the Masonic sense, is something loftier than this. It is the justice that beholds with open eyes rather than that which weighs blindfold and threatens with a sword. To a Freemason, justice is an abstract sense, is one of personal judgment, by which a man governs his actions and determines his conduct towards others with no force whatsoever. It is the justice in a man's soul which Freemasonry stresses. It is virtue, is behind all unselfishness, all self-sacrifice, acting for the interest of others. This being accomplished because it is right, not otherwise it will be force and prison bars. The theoretical virtues are extremely important and are depicted as faith, hope, and charity. The principal tenets are brotherly love, relief, and truth. In other words, friendship, charity, and integrity. To these can be added friendship and morality in simple terms. Brotherly love and charity are the same. Morality is one facet of truth. Friendship certainly encompasses relief. One of the many joys about the gentle philosophy of Freemasonry is the total absence of threat or punishment. This is particularly relevant since the introduction of the symbolic penalties. Nowhere in the ritual of our order do the 7 deadly sins appear. We do not instruct our candidates, thou shalt not, rather than the more gentle approach in our obligations, I will not. One of the great attractions that Freemasonry has to those who love her is this note of faith in man, as well as faith in the great architect of the universe. The 7 cardinal virtues are the living proof to any of its members who shall seek to find. Brethren, that is the end of this particular presentation, which I hope you've enjoyed. I shall look forward to giving another presentation in a few weeks' time. Thank you for your attention.